Hello everyone, I'm back with another update video. In this update, I will be sharing how today went. So it all started early in the morning at around 7:30 when I was woken up by my mom to move my car from behind her because I parked behind her last night so that way she could drive to work. After doing that, I immediately went back to bed because I had originally planned on waking up at around 8:45. Instead, I woke up at 9 o'clock, and I was really dragging at my feet. I basically didn't really want to do any preparatory work before needing to go to my job today. I got up, I threw some sourdough bread in the toaster, lathered it with raspberry jam and peanut butter jelly. I made some freshly ground coffee, and I was eating this and drinking the coffee while watching a video, and I honestly don't remember what video I chose to watch. After this, I decided to take a shower, but I was so slow today that I started taking the shower at around 8:35, which is cutting it really close because I usually leave for work at around the 50-minute mark of the hour because it takes about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes to get there. But I was feeling really slow and really sleepy in the morning, so I didn't do that. So I took a shower that was about 5 minutes long and afterwards got dressed and started listening to this audiobook from Audible called The 47 Principles of Power. This is a very interesting book. It explores the apparent rules that a lot of people in power follow to stay in power. And apparently one of those big rules is deception and trying to look sincere, which is pretty scary. It's implying that a lot of the people that we put in charge aren't giving us the whole truth. And because of that, it definitely makes you feel uneasy about the people who are supposed to be running things. But apparently that's what the book delves into, and it tries to explore that mindset that gets powerful people at the top. Kind of reminds me of this article that I read a while back where most people who end up being CEOs or doing well-performing jobs that require them to manage huge groups of people are very emotionally detached, apparently, based on some scientific studies and research. I'd have to link to the article, but I'm just going off of a very distant memory right now. But after listening to this book and hearing about that reading that article, it definitely does make me realize that maybe it isn't such a good thing to be in a position of power. Maybe it would be better to just simply work with each other on an equal frequency. Anywho, after I got to work after listening to this audiobook, which was very fascinating and very revealing, it was quite a chill and nice day today. The first hour was spent doing carts. The next 2 hours were spent doing sweeps. And the last hour was spent doing carts for the first half of the day. Not much to really talk about in terms of what exactly happened during this period of time. The best thing that I could really say was that it was very fun interacting with the customers and my coworkers and having this good attitude. That does remind me of a story that happened my first hour, where there was this guy who asked me how I was doing, and I said, I'm doing fantastic. And he said, that's a lot better than okay. I wish I was doing as good as you. And I was like, yeah. And I started like doing a little jaunt, like showing how in good spirits I was. But then after he was done shopping and he came out while I was still on lot, I was just pushing carts like I normally do, but he caught me just, doing my job and not like doing the whole Johnny thing like I did before. He says, hey, where's your jaunts? Where's your dancing? I don't believe you now. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And he says, man, you really disappointed me. Now I'm going to go kick my dog. It's like, oh, bye. I was like, dang, that's a dark sense of humor, if you could call that humor, but needless to say, it did catch me off guard. I did share this story with some customers when I was done with lot, and apparently they thought it was funny. So, different strokes for different folks, I guess. Personally, I thought it was distasteful and uncomfortable, but that's just me. That was the big story, I guess, for those first 4 hours. Everything else was pretty standard. Dad jokes galore, sweeping the floors, being friendly. Oh, yeah, and I guess there was one more story worth noting, and that was that one of my coworkers, who's a cashier, was being harassed by this like 60-year-old dude who was asking her out on a date while she was working. And when she said she wasn't interested, instead of taking no for an answer, he just kept on badgering her and saying, "Come on, don't you want a date? Don't you want a date?" over and over again, as if he couldn't take the hint. So she told me later that she was glad I was there to see that because it made her feel less like she had to fend for herself. But she definitely did feel harassed. She told me that that guy was being too pushy. So it was uncomfortable to witness for sure. I think that was the only other story for the first 4 hours of the day. Work day, I mean. Anything else coming to mind? No, not really. So I went home, but before I did, I went to a place called Alberto's, where I got a bean and cheese burrito because I was in the mood for a bean and cheese burrito. And when I got it and then drove to eat it at my home where I live, my sister was paying a visit, and they were talking about relationships, her and my mom. And it reminded them of an episode of SpongeBob called Krusty Love, I believe. And I actually acted the episode out in front of them based on the conversation they were having, and they thought it was very funny, and that spurred the idea of wanting to watch the episode itself. So that's exactly what we did, and we did have a great time. It was very funny. Finally, after this little excursion, I needed to return to work, so I did. And to be honest, the last 4 hours of the day weren't too eventful. The first 2 hours of the last half of the workday was spent bagging and telling dad jokes, which was fun. My idea of dad jokes is to take products in the store and then try to come up with puns based on the name of said product. If I could give an example, that would be great. I know there's a hot sauce bottle called Tapatio. So when I see that going down the conveyor belt, I grab it and then an idea pops into my head. And then I ask the customer, "Hey, how do you get your uncle's attention?" And they ask me, "I don't know, how do you get your uncle's attention?" And I bring up the bottle and I say, "Tapatio." And they laugh and they think it's funny. So it's always fun seeing them get a good reaction out of a joke. I love that. So the third hour was spent pushing carts again, and something unusual happened during this whole excursion, and I believe I actually saw a UFO. Now, sadly, it wasn't super close and personal, so I could bust out my phone camera and capture details of it. But I was able to just stare and see that it kind of looked like a star, and I thought it was a star at first, until I saw it going up and then to the side, then up, the side, and then down, and here, and there, and then up. And that behavior is not something I normally see on like a star or an airplane for that matter. Airplanes travel very linearly, and the same goes for birds or whatever. And this was really high up in the sky, and it was just such an unusual sight. It was like basically just a moving star. I was kind of drifting up and then going down and then up and down. It was very fascinating. Now, I don't know if it was aliens or any of that, but it was unusual and very cool to look at. And some customers even saw it with me. They thought it was pretty cool too. There was even a dad with his son who saw it. And I asked them, "What do you guys think the aliens want?" jokingly. And the son said, "I think they want to invade us." And the dad was like, "I agree." So that was a cute interaction. After that strange lot experience. I was back in the store bagging for the last hour and also taking some orders out. There's really not much I could think of to talk about during this point, so I'm just going to move on to driving home. And when I got home, I was listening to a UFO related podcast from a channel called Area 52, where he was talking about apparently this guy had a meeting with a lady reptilian and she was telling him like the history of the world and stuff. And of course the guy didn't take it seriously because you can make anything up on the internet and pretend it's true. But he was just doing it for fun and because his channel is, alien UFO themed, and just see if there's any contradictions in the story or anything that makes it less believable or what have you. And it was a fun listen. Then my mom and our family friend came back with tacos from Alberto's. So it was very much an Alberto's kind of day. The tacos were ridiculously expensive. It was like $4 a taco, $4.50 a taco, which is super silly in my opinion. It should be like $2 tops, but oh well. After eating just two, I wasn't really satisfied. I wanted something else. So I threw deep dish pizza from Red Baron in the air fryer, those tiny personal sized ones. And after doing that, my mom needed my help bringing in these shelving materials into our house. So we're going to be building kitchen shelves in the back room to make the back room more of a self-sufficient area so that whoever decides to get that room can do as much cooking and eating and living in there as they can, and not needing to have to go to our kitchen to do any of that. Potential future customers feel more self-sufficient in that room. Very nice. After we brought that in, I decided to do a deep meditation session by listening to some binaural beats outside under the stars. It was a very cold night. My skin was getting those goosebumps you get when you're in really cold temperatures. And I was just trying my best to close my eyes, focus on the beats, try to keep those intruding thoughts out, and just focus on my breaths to really take my mind into that meditative mode. And it halfway worked, but halfway didn't. I still just didn't really get too deep into it in a way where I could say I had a profound experience. But at least I tried. It's better to try than not try at all. After that, I went into the house and I played more of the game Astrobot. I played the Octopus boss stage, the God of Bot of War stage, and the Casino stage, all of which was a whole lot of fun. Really good game. I say that again because it's really true. Then after that, I decided to start watching a video about real UFO videos and pictures that have yet to be disproven, like a little 5-minute compilation video, or not 5-minute, it's actually 22 minutes, but it's 5 different stories put under this one 22-minute video. And I was just watching that before I decided to turn this camera on and give you this update. So that's about it for now. I have tomorrow off, and it's going to be a really good day tomorrow. I can feel it. I'm going to get a lot done, and I'm going to be very proud of what I do. Well, after recording this, I'm probably going to finish watching this video, maybe have a little snack and a tea to go along with it. Then I'm going to take my vitamins, brush my teeth, and go to sleep. Thank you for listening, and anybody who is watching this video, have yourselves a fantastic rest of your time before you decide to tune in again. Take care. Bye, everybody.